Well, hello guys, welcome back. Sorry I wasn't on earlier. I've been having one of those days. Let me have some coffee. I'm not getting along with Inari, but I guess you guys kind of figured that one out. Ah, coffee, sweet, sweet coffee. Um, Inari and I just don't seem to know how to make each other happy, and like we're stepping on each other's toes a lot, and we're like really more aggravating each other than making each other happy, which is funny because we went from a grand welcoming ceremony last night to I can't stand you, why are you into Japanese stuff, and I'm like, okay, and it's a spilling of agitation and get away from me now and get away from Japan, get away from Japanese food and culture, and I'm like, what? Are you okay? Are you for real? And we've tried to work before, and he's done this before, and it's always been the damn strangest thing, because I'm like, you're Japanese. Why wouldn't you like me to like Japanese culture? I mean, I studied Japanese intensively for a year in college. That was 20 years ago, so don't expect me to understand it. But, we should at least have that basis to work together on, and we don't. So it's like, today has been like a lot of extremes. Like, I'm so happy to be here, to I hate being here, to like, I came to see you, to you drag me here. And it's like not making sense. It's like we're having a lot of communication problems today. So we are, I think, going to take a separation period. And Loki and I had always had a Japanese element to our relationship anyways, because you know he showed up as Tengu, dot 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 dot. And so we'll keep that, and I'm definitely keeping like any Japanese food I ordered in that. We'll definitely enjoy that, and like the green tea and that. I appreciate having that back into my system, but we're not going to perhaps work with Inari so much because it's just, I don't know. They're getting very difficult and very like combative, like a angry little fox. Like, they got their way, they got in, they got welcome, they got like everything God or goddess or divine being could possibly want. Now they're mad about it, and it's like, you are more of a cat than you are anything because you got everything you wanted handed to you, and now you're mad. And they're honestly choosing to be mad right now, and I'm like, okay, be mad. I'm an American. I'm gonna go over here, and you go ahead, you be mad, and you be mad for as long as you want, and you know, that's nothing I can do anything about. So I don't know what I did. It's like, I thought I had a okay grasp on Japanese culture. I haven't done anything willfully ignorant. I haven't tried to, you know, like totally piss off Inari. So it's like, I don't know if they didn't like me being so intense. You guys know how I get when I get into something new or something old that I've missed so much. And even the Baron showed up today, and the Baron's like, wow, you're really not getting along. You're doing a great job. And I'm like, shut the floof up. And we're like play fighting like we always do. And Inori was absolutely horrified because the language we will use at each other, we sound like we were both born in the gutter and to stay there willfully, even though people tried to rescue us. It's like the back and forth at each other, and we're actually having a ball, and we're having fun, and we're swearing at each other, and we're like saying all these things, and you know, he's making gross, disgusting jokes, and I'm talking back to him just as bad, and Inori was absolutely horrified, and we're both looking at Inori like, seriously, dude, you're the god of sake, and some say like he rolls over, like, they roll over prostitution and such, so, and I don't make judgment calls. You know, I'm thoroughly pagan, I don't make judgment calls, but we're like, you're really uptight for a god that rolls over this stuff, and we'd even watched like a festival last night, and we thought Inari was cool, but apparently they're like going into some kind of culture shock or something. Where with Loki, you know, God's bless him, Loki, one, never shuts up, and two, if Loki is pissed off or sad or upset or thinks you're doing wrong, he will tell you. If you're not hearing him, so to speak, he will let you know in other ways. He will just F stuff up until you stop and turn around, and then it will be okay. Like, if Loki didn't want me into Japan or Japanese food or something, it would totally disappear on Walmart. It would totally disappear on YouTube. It would be like Japan never existed. And then we would be okay. We would be okay until he'd be like, okay, I'm over this. With Inori, Inori's kind of like, kind of expects me to like make the right decision, which is way too much to expect. Seriously? And I've been watching Tabi Eats, and I thought, you know, I don't expect them to like Tabi Eats because they're a Japanese god and they're from Japan. Well, at least one is. But I think I like watched like it for 3 days, and I'm not really sure. I'm like, they seem like they're, you know, Japanese born from Japan, but I'm not sure. You know, because actually, I think one guy's from Hawaii and one guy's from Japan. I think that's how it works out. Anyhow, you know, I didn't expect them to like it just because it's Japanese. I'm not like a screaming racist or something, but I expected them to at least appreciate that I was excited about all the street food. But I would be just as excited for Mexican street food, for Canadian street food. Oh my god, I love Toronto so much. For street food in New York City, for food in general. I like food. Look at me, dude. I like food. So they really got agitated, I think, because, you know, sometimes people say they are the god of food, the kami of food, and some people say no, it was Uke, and after Uke died, they absorbed it, or Uke's still around. It gets complicated because there are so many gods and so many stories about them, and like they change from region to region. And as far as I can tell, in Shinto, like actual Shinto, if you're practicing folk Shinto, people just leave you well enough alone. Your beliefs are your beliefs, and you're welcome to them, and they don't affect anyone else, just as long as you're not running around hitting people with them. And usually it seems the idea is you don't. It's not like Christianity where everybody has to believe exactly one way and they all scream and fight about which way is the right way. It's like, who cares? And that might be oversimplified, but that's generally the idea I'm getting from like the Shinto temples, and not that I've like studied their literature from. They're like, we really don't care, just don't burn down Japan, believe whatever you want, but here's the general guidelines, but you go do you. So I'm like, for God, from such a free and easy thing, because Shinto doesn't have like a good holy book that they will hit you with. They don't have all these other rules, they don't have an idea of salvation. They're really upset about a lot of stuff, and it's like, you know, a lot of people apparently both Shinto and Buddhist in Japan, and I'm only going on the information I've been able to find. And so like if they can mix that, if they can mix Buddhism and Shinto, there's not really this big problem. Shinto should be able to flow into, and that's how our teacher taught us too. Our teacher, Japanese culture and language, taught us like all these can flow very, very freely into one another, and it's not a big deal. It's not in your face like you must do it only this way. So it's, Inori almost seems to be acting contrary on purpose. I'm not sure why, but they are, and we're like, okay, we'll give you your space. We won't bother you. You will still have all your altar space because all the altars for Loki are now joint altars. But we won't bother you. We'll let you be, and we'll let you figure stuff out. We did have that obvious talk that any American with half a brain cell and any god or kami or whatever you want to call them from Japan should have. I think it really sucked at the end of the war, and they thought it really sucked about Pearl Harbor, and that was the end of that conversation. We both felt it was really bad and sad that there was ever a war, and I don't blame them, and they don't blame me. They're not holding me accountable for stuff like that. In university, for example, I had two friends. I had one from China and I had one from Japan, and the one from China would torment the shit out of the one from Japan on every Pearl Harbor Day, and as the American, I was stuck in the middle because the Chinese would like sit there and say terrible things to the Japanese people, and you know, the Japanese people would just be very sad, upset, and finally I was like, you know what, flip off. they've suffered enough. They didn't even do this terrible thing, and we dropped the bomb on them. So, like, you've got nothing to complain about. If you want to yell at people that you think are so monstrous, yell at Americans. We're pretty damn monstrous when we put our mind to it. We can do pretty horrible things to people and justify it and say, yeah, America #1. Yeah, because, like, I was always raised, as most Americans were raised in my time, that, America good, America did the great thing. And then as you start to be exposed to the Japanese point of view, you're like, oh, holy hell, what did we do? So, and I don't want to get into discussion about that, by the way. I think war sucks. I think we don't need war. And yes, as a child of Ogu, but Ogu can be war, but Ogu can also be peace. If your dumbass wants war, he'll give it to you. If you want peace, he will give you that too. He's actually known now, many of the Ogus, as negotiators and finding a peaceful way through, because, he knows the cost of war, because that is, he rules over warfare, among other things. So he is not, like, he would actually be the last one to go to war, because he knows what it's like. He's not some, take this the right way, angry old white guy behind a desk dreaming of war so that young people can get killed. He's very much war. So, he's been advising me as well, and he's like, well, just, back off, give each other time. I think you're both having culture shock. I fit in more easily to the African diaspora for some reason, after being, you get in and they're like, everybody's yelling at you and screaming at you, and you can do this and you can't do that. The people, not the Loa. And I managed to survive that easier than I am this, working with any Japanese commie, because it feels like you're doing a lot of pussyfooting and a lot of finessing, where in Wudon, for me, it was a crash course of being screamed at and reminded that you are a white person. I'm like, yeah, I kind of know, like, by your definition, I'm white. We won't get into by the definition of local area, but yeah. So it's been super intense, and usually our Loa, just to be clear, our Loa, our kami, our gods, and that, they don't see color, they don't see where you come from, they don't see anything else. But they will respond to, like, your individual feelings, and Nori knows, even though I don't embrace how they were, of God, my grandparents were involved in the war. So, I had a deep sense of, as American, you're supposed to be so proud, but I also had a deep sense of shame, because people are people, and why are we killing each other? So, and you do have a sense of, if you deal with Japanese culture, you're forever going to be the outsider. I could have moved to Japan when I was 2 and lived there until I'm 100, and I know I'd still be the outsider. But that's kind of just the way it is. It's not like America where, well, not all Americans feel this way, but I'm like, you got here, you're one of us. Congratulations. I don't give a good goddamn about them learning to be an American. I'm like, they'll figure it out. So yeah, it's two very different cultures trying to learn how to coexist. I think that's honestly what it is. African cultures tend to be a lot more welcoming, like Americans. We're like, come here, I love you, yeah. And we both kind of tend to be, more celebratory, and we can be a lot louder, where in Japan, it was like, our teacher was like, you have to learn to be quiet in public. And we're like, what? Because Americans, God knows, we're loud in public, aren't we? We're always on our cell phones and everything else, and it's like, I wouldn't survive 5 minutes in Japan. So we're trying to do that dance of getting to know each other. My main fear has been like Susano, and I probably just said that wrong, and so sorry. But it has been like, I've been probably working with the trickster god, not with Inari at all, which would make more sense in a way, but he's not acting. He has trickster-like qualities, but only because he's a shapeshifter, and he can get into his mischief, but apparently Inari can. I've gotten the idea from other, kami that I've approached respectfully, so they know that I'm aware they're there. They're like, that's nice enough, but you can go play with Nori. We don't, not that they dislike me, but it's like, we don't need to work with you at this time. So it's been super intense. And I am gonna go get a bath and get this mask off before it melts to my head. And I am Nicole Kidman from whichever Batman movie that was. And I will see you guys later.